Hey there, Cheesemeisters. Welcome to the Peach Pod. That would have been Crazy by Seal if it wasn't for rights issues and so forth. That was playing at the party when Bobby was angry with Kelly after she turned him into an end table and just set her purse down and walked away.
Oh.
Yeah. I am Jeff, and I am visualizing with my eyes open the car in the space, trusting my hands on the wheel. And joining me on the other end of the internet, my host.
I'm Leslie, and I'm telling you, Jeff, if we weren't first cousins.
Super fucking creepy.
We thought Game of Thrones brought the incest to the table. No, it was 90210, y'all.
That's right. Bobby was feeling it, cousin style. And since Kelly is,
we have said to each other.
It is. It's very much. And since Kelly is like Brandon's sister, that's like a cousin situation for Bobby too. Only he doesn't know that.
No.
So yeah, it's a rough one. So this week we are talking about season 2, episode 11, Leading from the Heart, which originally aired on October 10th, 1991. And as I say, we started with mentioning the fact that we weren't listening to Crazy by Seal. Do you have Seal thoughts? Do you have crazy thoughts?
I hate to say that I totally didn't realize this was a song sung by Seal. Like, once it got going, I went, oh, this is his song. Cool, because weirdly, I know songs from Weird Things, and there was a cover of it on the soundtrack for The Devil Wears Prada. I'm glad I know the real version now. And yeah, I mean, I think I only kind of know with this episode.
It was, yeah. I only know like 2 Seal songs. It's this one and "Kiss from a Rose." Like that's it.
Yeah, I would say that. And I don't know, way more played.
They were both pretty big at the time, but I think you're probably right. "Kiss from a Rose" is probably the bigger of the two.
"Kiss from a Rose" much more.
Yeah,
but I would have liked to have heard "Crazy" more.
I do you have this thing where like there are some things that were popular when I was, I don't know, in high school or college, whatever, that at the time I turned my nose up at, and I was like, this isn't for me. But then later I'm like, oh wait, this is actually, I kind of dig this. For example, the Shanice song, "I Love Your Smile." I thought this song was super fucking cheeseball, and it's very much 1993-ish, 1992 for me. Like, it's just, now that's what that sounds like. Or "Return of the Mac," which is like, it's a ridiculous song, but also kind of awesome. And I really love it now that I hear it. I don't, Seal still stays in that category of not really for me.
That's okay.
Like I for some reason he hasn't come around yet. Like that I just, like, I haven't picked it up and been like, no, this is a jam. I think it's fine. It's a good song, but it doesn't, I don't know. It's just not for me.
He's not much different than Sting in a way, because his songs are really repetitive but emotive.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm currently in a cold on Sting phase. Sometimes I'm warm, sometimes I'm cold. I'm the same way with Elton John. Sometimes I'm like, ooh, I really like Elton John, and sometimes, yeah, it's just there's a point where I've just heard it too much recently.
Got it.
And I'm just like, U2 is the same way for me. Like, I really like some of their stuff, but I'm like, I'll change the channel frequently if there's a U2 song on. I'm like, I get it. I've heard the song about 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably true. So,
I mean, I didn't like Taylor Swift at first. And now I'm a big fan.
Well, I mean, did you not like her at first because she was a country artist and you're not a country fan?
It was partly that. Here's what I'm recognizing. A lot of, I don't know if this is true for everyone else, but I've noticed it for me because there are negative feelings I had about various female pop stars, and I'm like, oh, this is the discord they want to create, because if women don't like other women, then we don't support each other, and then it gets to stay a male built business.
Yeah.
And because like I definitely didn't like Hillary Duff or Lindsay Lohan when they had their moments on the radio. I was like, what is this? You know?
Right.
And granted, a lot of it too is because I'm a snobby singer, and I was like, don't think you all are that great, but Disney agents are great.
Right. Yeah, no shit.
But
maybe that's what it is. Go ahead.
Well, now just knowing more, like all of these people have better PR. You know, I don't know if it's necessarily just them having better PR or just the lens on them has changed and more forgiving.
Yeah.
And I'm an adult who can think for herself now.
What you just, because I was going to make a joke about how that's why I don't like Seal, because I feel like he's taken my spot.
Oh my God.
You know, like that's, deep throated R&B singer. That was my corner, and he knocked me off of it.
Yeah.
But what it reminded me of is I saw Martin Short tell this story once where Steve Martin gave him a call. He's like, I got a call from Steve Martin the other day, right after Divine died. And he said, more roles for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what my stupid Seal joke reminded me of. It reminded me of a better joke by someone much funnier than me.
That's definitely, I mean, I feel like that is very much a thing that actors go through, both when another actor dies or when another actor says, I'm quitting. It's like, cool, call my agent.
That's right. Doors open. Coming in.
Like, once Allison Brie, Aubrey Plaza, and the few other thin brunettes out there right now co-opting my roles, like, I might be in like Flynn. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. If one of them just gets like pregnant 6 times in a row and it's just out for a decade, I think boom, you're in.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
One thing gatekeeping me. Yeah, that's how guys feel anytime a celebrity woman gets divorced.
Oh my God.
Right? It's like, aha! The only thing preventing me is now out of the way.
Right? Like, humans are funny.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing in the way of my happiness is your happiness.
Yeah. Like, if Daniel Radcliffe ever breaks up with his wife from Michigan, sorry, Walter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn it, he's listening.
All right. So, what happened in this episode, Leading from the Heart?
Cousin Bobby, not our cousin Bobby, comes to visit. And everyone is super excited. Brandon calls him Bobster.
Sir! That's weird. What I should have said at the beginning of the episode.
Oh, man. Well,
I forgot about it.
He comes to visit, and everyone is excited, but also super protective because he's in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And this was it's still a big deal, but I would say it was definitely a big deal in 90s TV. There was always the kid in a wheelchair to be like, look, diversity. Like, we did it. You didn't. Yeah. So he comes to town. Kelly has been eyeing him since she saw that photo on their mantle, which who has a cousin on their mantle? I don't know. We come from a big family, so that would be a big mantle.
But you could have like a random cousin up there, like in one of the pictures on your mantle. Like, someone could be in the group shot.
I guess.
So
basically, Kelly is interested, and everyone is trying to speak for her and say, no, you're not. You're totally going to break this boy's heart. And, we learn how Bobby got in a wheelchair and the trauma that Brandon has been carrying around with him. Like, Jason Priestley was acting this episode.
He was. He acted the shit out of this stuff.
Brenda finally gets her license, but is too afraid to drive.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened. Cousin Bobby comes to town. And
Bobby, baby, Bobby, Bobby, Bobby.
now say goody. Say goody.
Goody, goody.
Goody, Bobby. Goody, Bobby. Say it.
Goody, Bobby.
No, you did it again. Now she's going to say it wrong, but it's not my fault. It's so funny.
You're welcome.
Brandon, Bobby, Bobby. Did you catch that? Did you hear what I just did? Oh, yeah. But I put Brandon and Brenda in there.
You did. Good for you.
I nailed it. Really, and I didn't trip over any of them. And I didn't have to slow down like when I say beach blanket Brandon.
Nope.
I can do Brandon, Brenda, Bobby, Bobby.
We can do commercials, people.
That's right. I'd like to read some copy.
We can do side effects real quick.
So this episode for me has always been flyover country.
Yeah.
Because it's another like thing of the week and person of the week who disappears and we don't hear from him again. Sorry, if he calls Kelly, we don't know about it. And it's another square on our social issues bingo card to mark off. Now we've had someone in a wheelchair. And we've done race and we've done whatever. I mean, we've done sexual assault and we've done, we've hit all the cheating. We've hit the topics, cheating in school and infidelity.
Witness protection program.
Adoption being apparently horrible. I don't know, whatever.
Alcoholism.
Yeah, we've hit all of the things, and now we've got to do, disabled.
Yes.
And it's fine. Like they don't stick their thumb in it really with this. I think it's pretty well done as far as that stuff goes. They definitely address the issues that Bobby faces day to day. Can't reach that. I can't get into this party. I'm stuck here in the foyer. Like there's just things that he needs help to do, and they address those things. And they address them from the standpoint of, Brandon and Dylan and Steve being like, sure, we got you. Let's take you up the stairs. And Bobby, like, really being uncomfortable with that. Like, they show him not enjoying that. And they show other people not listening to to the things he's clearly emoting on his face. Like, it's obvious he's uncomfortable with this.
Yeah.
And no one listens. And they show the way he's like, he tries to make his life feel like it's the same as it was before, even when it's not.
Yeah.
And all of that stuff, like they address all of those things. And they also show, I think, interestingly, Jim and Cindy struggling with how are we going to have him live here?
Yeah.
If he chooses to come to UCLA. By the way, I think there are stairs leading down into their kitchen. I don't know how he got in there.
I was just thinking about this, and I'm pretty sure you could get a ramp.
Sure.
I feel like easily put in, they have a shed. They could have had some planks and just been like, here we go. We will put this in temporarily. Or they have money.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely have steps all over that house.
Yeah, not as bad as at the party house, but still, like there are stairs.
I was impressed with the fact that they have wide enough doorways, because I know when my dad first came home in a wheelchair, it's like all of a sudden you realize how tight and narrow hallways are, and it is a pain in the ass.
No kidding. But clearly, like, the houses in Beverly Hills are not designed to be ADA compliant, because that house was a problem. I mean, that house was a problem if you just get winded. Like, you don't have to be in a wheelchair. You could just have slight asthma, and that getting up to the front door of that house would be a challenge. Well,
and sadly, too, even though there are regulations, there aren't people consistently checking them and putting them in
right.
Because, like, I can tell you from like IU was not the most accessible campus for my dad to get around and visit and come see shows. Like it was a huge source of contention when I would get tickets for them to see stuff. And so, you know, that's a big university. Like
it is.
It should be.
Yeah.
And you know, a place like the auditorium where Broadway tours are coming in should be pretty easy to get into. But and maybe it's better now. I haven't been in the building in, 10-ish years. But it wasn't then. And this was the aughts.
Right. Well after.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, I don't know. So let's talk a little bit about the Kelly and Bobby of it all.
Yes.
Because I think that that's an interesting, I think that's where most of the meat of the episode is for me, is in their being the twins' expectation of Kelly, and then
they are bad friends.
I think it's, there's, I don't know how bad of friends they are, is more than just like Brenda recognizes how overprotective she is of Bobby.
Yeah.
And so like she doesn't want Bobby to get his heart broken again because she saw it happen once before, right after his accident, and his girlfriend left him. And Brandon feels guilty for the role he feels he played in Bobby's accident. And we don't know, how directly, how correct his memory of that day is, or how Bobby, who knows? Maybe Bobby saw the jump first and wanted to do it. Maybe Brandon dared him. We don't really know. But Brandon feels like it was on him.
Yeah.
So for Brandon, that's true enough. And so they're both trying to protect Bobby from Kelly. And Brenda is doing it by going to Kelly and saying, "You probably won't like him." And doing, and Brandon is going to Bobby saying, "Man, be careful. Like, just go slow, because this probably isn't what you think it is." And so they're both trying, like everyone's trying to help Bobby, but no one's really asking Bobby the way that he would like to be helped. And the areas in where he might actually need help versus areas where they think he needs help. And so he and Kelly hit it off, and they, she sits on his lap, and then they do a little smoochy on the couch. And then she invites him to a party and puts her purse on him and goes and dances with the guy from Suits. And then he's upset and he wants to go home. And then she kind of reads him the riot act and I think kind of rightly so.
Yeah.
I don't think Kelly's the worst person of the episode. I think
Definitely
she is.
Not.
I think she was really pretty decent. Like, she was honest about, where she was coming from, the fact that she had thought this out, the fact that his expectations of her were ridiculous because they're like, she's like, "I've known you for 2 days." Like,
I think so. Their conversation is a unique one in that, you have one person who has to face some adversity. So anyone who has to face adversity has stuff that they have to think about more when going into relationships with someone who is not. And Kelly is. Now, I would like to add too that Bobby, while being a paraplegic, is still like happy-go-lucky, good-looking white guy. Like, yes, he's going through a lot. He's had to overcome a lot, but like there's still privilege.
Right.
Much like with Kelly, like, yes, you're a woman. You're also white. So like, she's totally right in that, hey, I like you. I was going about this any other way that I would dating wise, because I don't have to think about the things that you do, but also like I shouldn't be expected, like you can't know whether or not a person is going to be able to handle all your shit from the get-go.
Right. And that's true if you're not in a wheelchair.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's more if you are, like, or different. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that it, like, let's say he was Dylan. Like, he's not in a wheelchair, but he's a sometimes actively consuming alcoholic.
Uh-huh.
Like, the only difference, kind of, is that Kelly knows going into it that Bobby's in a wheelchair, and Brenda doesn't know going into it that Dylan is an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But over the course of time, they have to figure out if they can handle the shit that comes with being with this person, and that's true of every relationship. You know, and the shit looks different. You know, sometimes the shit is wheelchair shit, sometimes it's mental shit, sometimes it's abuse, drug abuse, or whatever. Like, everyone has stuff. And whether you can carry your partner's baggage is not something you know after 2 days.
Exactly. No matter, you know, and of course, from the beginning, you're going to think like, oh, you're so great, and how you're dealing with this is wonderful and inspiring. Of course I can handle this. But, you know, again, only time can tell. That's why Bachelor doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, because, I mean, when you first meet anybody, you're seeing, like, best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, presumably. Like, the person is trying to show you their good stuff. Yeah. You know, not all their trauma on the first date. That was another Party of Five thing. Matthew Fox's character at one point had cancer. He got cancer of something. I don't know. It was a whole season-long storyline of him, treatment and whatever. And he met somebody and was dating, and one of his siblings was like, you need to tell her. And he's like, I don't want to lead with that. Like, right? I don't want to lead with my trauma or my baggage. I want to lead with, like, fun things so that you want to spend more time with me. You know,
people love trauma dumping now because like that has become a thing. I know when I first became aware of depression, it would just be like, this is a thing. I hope you are ready. And it's like, why would you ruin it?
Right. Can we just have a cup of coffee?
Right. Like it's even if you're not dating, just don't trauma dump people, you know?
Right. I'm sorry that you're going through that, but I ordered this blueberry scone, and I would like to take a bite. Can I take a bite of my blueberry scone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, people are allowed to enjoy things.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that one of the things that this episode is really about as we transition is the weight of our expectations placed upon others. Because, like, Brenda and Brandon have an expectation for how Kelly will treat Bobby. And Jim and Cindy have an expectation for, if he moves here, this is how we're going to have to adjust our entire lives. Because, of course, he's moving into our house. Like, you know, no other places to live in all of California.
No. And,
like, Kelly has an expectation that she can just go to a party with this boy and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And everyone is and then Bobby has this expectation that any connection he makes with somebody has to contain the possibility that they can deal with the worst of him. And because of, or the most challenging parts of his life, not the, you know, it's not like he's bad.
No,
or anything,
I know what you mean.
But people had shitty days, you know, like for him, it's like, that's great. You can, like, it's fun to play charades with me, but like, what if I'm really down because it's just all too much for me today? Can you be here for that? Because I know that happens and I've seen people walk. And that's, you know, he has to think about that stuff, but he's putting that expectation on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And every time it's wrong, like it ends up being the wrong thing to have expected.
Uh-huh.
And so they're just like, I'm not moving in here. Thanks, Uncle Jim. Like, but no, I don't want to live here. And oh, whew,
I mean,
like,
it's admirable that they would have still thought of that. And I think it's, worth Bobby acknowledging, like, oh, that's so nice of you all, but no, I would not. I
right.
want my own independence. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole point of me coming out here, and I get it. And we've had cousins send their kids to college in Chicago, and I never once for a second thought, well, Kieran's moving in. Like, like that would seem crazy. But, but we said, hey, we're like 2 miles away. If you need anything, call us. Like,
Yeah.
that's, we're your local family touch point.
Yeah.
Like, not move in. Like, but again, that was a cousin and not a niece or nephew. But I still think I wouldn't have expected, like, if your mom and dad lived in Bloomington, I wouldn't have expected to move into their house.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been weird.
I didn't expect to live with you all.
Right.
I loved staying over, but I didn't expect it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's right. Yeah, so it's whatever. But I mean, Jim wants to return. He expects to need to return the kindness that was given to him.
It's a very Midwestern thing, I feel like.
Sure.
Like, oh, of course we're going to, like, when people come visit, I feel bad that I don't have room to offer people to come visit because, I mean, that's what's fun about being in another city, and you can have people come visit you and stay with you. Not everyone wants that, but like, I want to be able to host people. That's how I get you all to come visit me. But unfortunately, I cannot.
That's my dad was never wanted to stay with someone else.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, when I go on vacation or somewhere else, whatever, I want to be as comfortable as I am in my own house.
Ah.
And I cannot walk around in my boxers in your house.
I knew it was going to be a clothing thing.
Yeah. He's like, I want to be able to walk around in my boxers and have that be that, and not able to. Laura just texted me because she's sitting across the room, and she said, but I think your mom and her Southern hospitality would assume people would stay with her. And I think that's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think she would assume people would stay with her, but not move in for like the entirety of college.
Yeah. I think
there's a difference there, but I think that's true.
I think my mom would too, but like there's also, because the basement could be an apartment, but she would certainly not be like, oh, you all can stay here.
Right. Yeah, if we had an extra room, I'd be happy to like, hey, crash, have spend the night. But I don't know that I would. Are you familiar with the pineapple thing? It's not a movie.
Pineapple. So, not the cabaret song?
I don't know what the cabaret song is about, so maybe. But this is I don't know, when I was in college, we went to New Orleans for spring break, and we went to visit one of the plantations. I don't remember which one.
Oh, okay.
And they have Oak Alley, maybe? Laura nodded. It's Oak Alley. I remember because the walk up, there's these huge oak trees that form like a canopy over there. It's really pretty. But at the gates have pineapples on them, like wrought iron pineapples. And the tour guide person said the way that it worked was when you show up to visit at someone's house, you're given a pineapple. It's like a welcome.
Oh.
And then when it's time for you to go, you find a pineapple in your room. It's just like, you've been here long enough. Here is a pineapple. Please fucking leave.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, like, I think there's a pineapple moment that would happen. It's, if someone came to visit for too long, it'd be like, oh boy, you've been here. Here's your pineapple.
That's wonderful.
I like it.
Sweet but thorny.
Yeah, exactly.
Like me.
So let's see.
Because we're talking about, what this episode's really about.
Yeah.
The only thing I could come up with, I think sometimes it takes time to get comfortable with your wheels.
Okay.
And that ties in both things because, excuse me, I had to pop in here. Bobby has obviously had time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to get used to get acclimated to this new way of life he's living.
Mm-hmm.
There are still going to be many other things he has to get used to, as life goes on. But then we also have Brenda, who finally got her driver's license and is naturally and understandably nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how in the very end Bobby, is like, listen, you have to get used to this at some point. You have to practice. And I can't help but feel that there's a bit of a tie-in. Completely different situations, but challenging in their own way. Scary in their own way. And I remember the first time I got into a wreck, like the next day my mom went, you gotta get back out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you need to. It's no, I think that's right. I think that there are people in this episode getting used to things. And it's interesting to me the starting point of that. And I think that's a thing that sort of dovetails in for me with the getting used to your wheels thing is the differences in experiencing something with someone when you meet them before or after. Right? So if you're Brandon and Brenda and you have all of this memory, and Jim and Cindy too, of Bobby pre-accident, you have a different view of him than someone who meets him post-accident. You see him with at least a little bit of the lens of the things he can no longer do.
Yeah.
Like the way that he's different than he was before. But if you're Steve and Brandon and Kelly, Andrea, whoever, not enough room for David, to meet Bobby, there's none of that. It's just, this is who I've met. This is who he is.
Yeah.
I don't have any other previous expectation of him. I never had to see him learn to get his wheels. I just see him as someone who has wheels.
Yeah.
And so they don't have nearly the baggage that the Walshes do with Bobby. And I think Bobby, not knowing Brenda as someone who struggled to learn how to drive, just sees her as someone who has a driver's license. Yeah. And go drive. Like, he doesn't have to deal with the anxiety. He knows it because he's known her a long time.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that she literally almost killed Henry Winkler. So thank God Henry Winkler was not one of those cones. I think this would have been much more traumatic for Brenda.
She's got quite the hit list.
Yeah. She's got, I know, Henry Winkler, apparently exploding semi-trucks filled with I don't know what that she has to parallel park inside of. I really
hope this isn't foreshadowing and why Brenda leaves. She has to go on the lam. In fact, this is, you know what? That's my prediction. I think Brenda accidentally kills someone and has to go on the lam. And
she's Smokey and the Bandit. She's just out there. She's trying to get that sweet, sweet Coors across the Mississippi.
He has to go hide out in some cabin in the hills of New Hampshire or wherever Walter White went. I don't know.
That's right. Yep. He was in the Granite State. I know that.
Yeah.
That was the name of the episode.
Yeah, that's where the show is going. Whew, what a ride.
Yeah, I know. Bearded Brenda. That'd be great. I'd like it if that's where this ended up. But like, I do think that there's a big difference in the way that they all, and I think there's a difference too in the way Bobby expects people that knew him before to feel about him.
Yeah.
You know, like although maybe not, because it does feel like he expects everyone to think he's someone who can't. And he's constantly showing people, I can do that. You know, like, that's not a thing I can't do. I can play basketball. You know, you can sit on my lap. I can make out with you. I can go horseback riding. I can have fun at a party. Like, these are all things Bobby's like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Stairs are a challenge. You know?
Well, and I would say, too, he's obviously not comfortable telling people, I don't want you to lift me. I don't want you to carry me. I mean, hell, even Crutchy in Newsies is able to say, I don't want nobody carrying me.
The kid's name's Crutchy? That's rough.
I mean, that's his nickname. And I mean, he can still move, but yeah, when you know, Cowboy comes to rescue him, he's like, no, ain't nobody carrying me out of here.
I feel bad because like the one guy's nickname is Cowboy, presumably because he acts like a cowboy.
Yeah.
And Crutchy's name is Crutchy because he's got crutches.
It's set in 1904. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I'm not. Yeah. I just, you know, if Bobby's nickname was Wheels or something, it would be like, that's a little rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It doesn't feel good. As if Dylan's nickname was Boozy. Come over here, Boozy. Or Brandon's nickname was Judgy.
Yeah. Brenda's name is Butchie.
Definitely on occasion.
Sorry, she said it first.
That's true. So one other thing that this episode is definitely about, but only part of the episode, is about, well, I would say it applies kind of across the board, but this episode is about the beginnings of relationships. Because we see, you know, Bobby and Kelly sort of negotiate what the beginning of a relationship feels like and means and is expected of, where he needs to know that she's thought through the next 30 years. And she needs to lead from the heart, which, I mean, you know, they said the name of the episode, so thumbs up for that.
Hey.
But it's also Brandon and Emily having like a restarting of a relationship. Yeah. And I liked that quite a bit because as we talked about that this is kind of a standalone episode, it's different than a season 1 standalone episode because there are longer story arcs that have pieces. Like, Emily's not just there to have a story told about her this week and go away. Yeah. She's now a person who goes to this school that Brandon hasn't seen in a minute because her schedule got fucked up. And now she's in journalism with him and Andrea. And, you know, like, things are starting.
And
great.
Andrea feels a way about it.
Andrea is always going to feel a way about someone coming after Brandon, I think. It certainly seems to be the case.
Girl, you had your chance. You gave it up.
She did. She was on a horsey. And so was everyone in this episode.
Oh, my God.
So many horsies. I couldn't help but think of the Spawn Ranch scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. Like the Manson family members giving people horse tours through the canyon. Yeah. And now there's Bobby and the gang riding their horsies.
Not knowing they're murderers.
That's right. Exactly.
Don't you have one that seemed like Gentle Giant or something?
Nope, you get this one. I wish we had more footage of Brandon being bad at riding a horse. I think that would have been fun.
finally he's bad at something. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
he's
not
not
great
great
at
at
this.
relationships, but
No, he's not. And but we're gonna get to see him, blossom one a little bit, which is,
I
that's
I'm probably I can probably only really speak on this because we know things about like Jason Priestley and Christina Elise
yeah,
living together, but like you just see it in his eyes. I'm like, aw, you
yeah,
like her.
yep. I think he
Your
does.
girlfriend's on set. Isn't that great?
It's kind of funny. She gets to be your girlfriend. That's cool too.
Yeah. Oh, and she got her roots touched up. I was like, oh yeah, she's about to be on more.
Yeah, exactly. She's ready. But here's the other thing that we saw the beginning of. Do you know what it was?
Is it David and Donna?
It is David and Donna.
Oh, I can't wait. It was cute.
It was cute. Yeah. So that is a thing. David
His
and
face.
Donna.
You know what? I just love seeing young love start and these gross horn dogs turning into sweet boys again when they see their love.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
apple
No,
of
he
their
saw
eye.
her. He saw Donna walk by the DJ booth and ran right out to talk to her.
Yep.
And the dynamic is clear. She likes him, but she's not super willing to admit it to people. But she likes him enough to like suggest that he come along to the party that there's no room for him at.
Yep.
So yeah, this is about beginnings.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah. I know, it's kind of fun. So it's not only a issue of the week. Person comes and goes away. That's there. I mean, that we do that in this episode, but but it's not the only thing that happens. And it's what that does for me is it places this episode in a living, breathing world.
Yes.
And that matters, like, to me as we watch the show, as we watch any show, like that it feels like what's happened. Like this is where we like towards the end of season 1, where we were so done with things like Stand Up and Deliver. Where it's like, this doesn't fucking matter. Like none of this is going to happen again next. Oh, Brandon ran for office. Oh, they have downgraded the importance and the time of year they've changed when junior class elections are held. Because there was a scene in the hallway, I think it was the Brandon and Emily scene, where in the background there's a big black sign on the wall that is someone running for junior class office.
Oh, I think I did see that and it didn't register in my brain.
Yeah, I caught it and I was like, well, that used to happen in the spring.
That's so funny.
Now it happens in the fall, apparently, and it's not a plot point. It's just some signage.
I wanted to make a joke like, they could have left it up, and I went, no. Advertising in school hallways, like, that shit gets changed so quickly.
Yeah, that is not a football sports poster.
Nope.
That is something that comes down after the election is over and someone else puts up their sign for the Enchantment Under the Sea dance. You got to be able to advertise the current shit. And West Bev does not have a culture of chalk on the sidewalk.
Oh, man. That's only college anyway.
I know. I like that. I like that a lot, though. The chalk on the sidewalk thing was one of my favorite things.
Did you ever get to paint one of the barges over the river?
I didn't. Nope, that was never a thing I got to do. That's cool. Yeah, how long do those stay?
I can't remember now because I painted it for when I was in Rent. And that's so sad. I do not remember that.
Yeah.
That time is becoming a blur, unfortunately.
Well, wait till you get gray. Everything's a blur.
I already have some silver. Thank you very much.
Hey, good for you.
I found a silver eyebrow recently. It was very exciting.
Ooh, nice. Wait till it's a pube hair. What? Who said that? That's not a thing. I'm waiting for
my rogue streak, and I don't want it happening there, although that'd be funny.
That would be awesome.
We're gross.
Just conceptually. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just talking about
I know.
Conceptually.
I know that, but it's good to cover your track or,
Well, especially since you gave me the Bobby line at the beginning of the episode.
Yep, I was asking for it.
All right, is there anything else that this episode was really about?
Dudes with long hair are dicks.
Yeah. So, one of those, it kind of is. One of those dudes comes back. Would you like to guess which one?
Oh man, I hope it's not the brunette one because he was the worst.
It is the brunette one, and guess what? When he comes back, he's worse than that.
No! Damn it.
Yep.
Does he still have his long hair?
He does not.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. And it's way later, so I'll point it out when we get to him. And the other person who comes back is Cousin Bobby.
He does?
But not as Cousin Bobby.
Oh no, can he walk now?
He can walk.
Oh my God.
And
terrible.
He's a totally different character. But he's bearded, which is like, it makes it hard. When you see him, you may not go, that's Cousin Bobby, but it's 100% Cousin Bobby.
Wow.
Yep. And not for nothing, he's a drug dealer. Yep. So when we get to Johnny Five, a name you're not going to remember, between now and when Johnny Five shows up, I'm going to say, hey, that's Johnny Five, a.k.a. Cousin Bobby.
This feels like they're telling us the same thing Mad Men told us, which is what people believed in the 60s, clearly, was that the more hair you had, the more of a dick you were, because you weren't following the rules of society.
I tell you what about those two guys with their hair. They cared for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Those are some well-tended locks.
It's the early... It felt like a hint at the early glimpse of grunge.
Yeah.
Because we are in the 90s. However, I don't know if Fabio is yet. But, like, this is palatable grunge.
It is. So, the blonde guy looks to me like both of the Nelson twins smushed together.
Oh.
Yeah, Google up Nelson, and you'll see what I'm saying. And the other guy definitely has a grunge look to him. But this is the heart of grunge. Like, 10 and Nevermind are both out at this point.
Oh, I see. Wow.
Right?
Also, I love that Laura messaged me too.
Oh, did she? About my mom?
No.
Oh.
Oh, cool. It's a book hair clip.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
not related.
Twins. They look like Xenophilius Lovegood.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Like dead ass, as the youth say.
Yep. Which means that Xenophilius Lovegood was designed to look like Nelson, because those guys predate.
Yes, depending on how you look at it, but yes.
Well, I mean, when the movie was shot, because he could have looked like anything in the book, you know. Anything else?
No.
I feel like we sort of drove a little bit sideways on that last one, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Because you were talking about long hairs being assholes, and I do agree that long-haired hippie freaks need not apply. And that's what would be on the sign everywhere, a sign that I would put up.
I don't know if I believe it in real life, but it's certainly what society has been trying to tell us from the get-go.
Yeah, long hair, I don't know. Like, they're certainly suspicious. Mm-hmm. But I think the fact that they take such good care of their hair makes them less suspicious. Probably. Because it shows that they care about the way they look to the outside world, and they're trying to fit in at least a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. American Psycho, he was fastidious as well. So you never know. excessive grooming may also be a problem. It's
Oh,
really hard to tell.
it's definitely a hint, but we wouldn't know because we're told that if you look like a Ken doll, you're trustworthy.
That's right. That's right. Bobby's job is wheelchair.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not wrong. It kind of is in
it
this
is.
episode. Oof, ouch.
It's not healthy.
No, it's not. So, what did this episode make you nostalgic for?
Oh man, from the minute they said Brenda was going in for her third driver's test, that took me back because
Yeah.
the third one is the most stressful because if you fail it 3 times, you have to go take driver's ed again.
Yeah.
Like you have to wait a certain amount of time. It's stressful. And as I was thinking about it, I realized, man, that was a really rough year for me. Like it makes so much sense now why it took me as long as it did. Because one, I don't know if other people know this, but you should never take a driver's test the day after you've had a colonoscopy. Because guess what? You've been knocked out. You have anesthesia in your system.
Important safety tip. Thanks, Egon.
My mom and I didn't know this. We didn't think this through. We were like, the driver's test is tomorrow. All right.
Wow.
So that's why I failed the first time. Second time, who knows? I mean, I was diagnosed with Crohn's. I can't remember if my dad had a stroke yet. It was a very crazy year, 16.
Henry Winkler was on the sidewalk. I mean, it's a lot.
In Corydon, Indiana. Who knew? So
Yeah.
So yeah, by the third time when my sister and, future brother-in-law, or now brother-in-law, were taking me, it's like, man, I really hope I get this.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pain in the ass if I don't know how to drive.
Yeah.
And
It's that's just one more way that Floyd's Knobs is like Southern California.
Exactly.
Because if you can't drive, you can't get around. It's not like a city. It's not like Chicago or New York where you can make it work.
Well, yeah, and like I hadn't been able to get to voice lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a very, for non-theater people, that would be like if I couldn't get to the away games.
Right.
That would be like if I couldn't go to practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, welcome to my sucky 16. This is what it reminded me of. Not the worst reminders I've had from this show, honestly.
No, that's true. I mean, no one slapped you in this episode, so thumbs up for that.
Thank God. Just reality.
Yeah, just reality slapped me. That's all.
What did it make you think of?
What did this make me nostalgic for? This made me nostalgic for not liking parties.
Oh, no. That's fair.
I don't dislike parties, but... And this was a different party because in this party there was no booze. And so I wasn't the only one there not drinking something.
Yeah.
So it didn't, this party would have been probably more my speed. Although, I don't know. Now, Jeff, parties? It's just so fucking loud.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's just too much sensory input for me, and I can't take it. It just makes me tired.
No, I totally get that.
So, I didn't feel that way when I was younger, but so maybe what I'm nostalgic for is going to parties and not being exhausted by the concept.
It's funny because now that I think about it, if I went to a party and I didn't know anyone there, I lost interest pretty quickly.
Sure.
I think the one frat party I went to, no one wanted to dance. And I went, well, this is stupid. Why would you have a party and not screw this? So.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't enjoy frat parties. Those weren't my scene. But I just, I didn't drink in high school. So when there were parties where that happened, I wasn't invited really. Because it was just a different group of people. Like the people I was hanging out with, that's not what we did. We went to the movies or we went to somebody's house and hung out in their basement and fucked around. We're just goofballs. Watched,
Same.
We did like a a 2 or 3 movie marathon on stuff we heard was good. Like,
yeah, those
that's
are
the
the
kind of
parties I
thing
got
we
invited
did.
to. Those were fun.
Yeah, that's the stuff that we did, and that's the stuff I enjoyed doing. We didn't go. I mean, again, as previously stated, I've been to parties around a lake with a bonfire. I've done that.
Ooh,
Yeah. We had lots of those, and some of them I went to. But I also memorably spent an entirety of one just sitting in the car with the air conditioner running because I couldn't breathe when I was outside.
Oh no!
Oh, it sucked. I was so miserable. Like, I literally was just laying down in the car with my eyes watering.
Oh no!
And just feeling like garbage, but not wanting to be the one that, like, because I think I drove, so it's like I can't make people leave.
Yeah.
Everyone else, like, I didn't Bobby. Like, I'll stick this out. Even though I'm fucking miserable. I'm just going to go lay down in the front seat of my car with it running and the air conditioner blowing because it's the only thing that makes me able to live right now.
Do you also have a deviated septum?
I don't know. I mean, I've broken my nose twice, so I don't know what's going on up there.
Okay.
But no, mostly I'm just allergic to shit.
Okay.
So
I was like, you have it way worse than I do, I feel like. But I don't know. It helps when you have a voice teacher who hears this shit and is like, you need to be on this, this, and this. This is good for your voice. This will help you get through this. So, like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, one more reason why I should have had singing lessons.
Yep.
Because you never know. Like, I could have been just rocking it out. That's what everyone wants from me is more singing.
I mean, I don't mind it. I
have fun with it.
Yeah.
I have fun with it. All right. So who is your Steve Sanders Memorial worst person of the episode?
The brunette long-haired guy who's like, hey, look what the wheelchair guy. Do you hear what he said to me? Like, you dick, he's right there.
That guy plays asshole pretty well.
Oh my God, he does. I mean, just one, and I get what they were trying to do because people do say stupid shit when you either, I mean, I've had people say dumbass shit to me when I tell them I have Crohn's. It's like, really? That's what will get you through this awkward moment? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's even worse for people who their disability is on display. Or their disability or what makes them different is on display, rather.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that guy was stupid and annoying.
He sucks. And unlike Cousin Bobby, when he comes back, he's not a totally different human.
No.
He is also an asshole later. So
nice work if you can get it.
He plays good asshole. I think for me, and she's not that bad.
No.
But I'm going to go with Brenda.
Okay.
Because I think just one, she has super low expectations of Kelly.
Yeah. Your best friend.
Yeah. 2, she's like this, like she gets her license and immediately expects a car, or at least half a car, and still has no inclination to get a job, even though Brandon suggests it. Finally, someone says to Brenda, "You could work. It's an option."
Yeah.
And she's not interested.
No.
And then she's just laying a lot of shit on Bobby, and Kelly, and it's just the weight of Brenda's expectations are a little bit much in this episode. I don't think she's quite as bad as Surfer Dude, but she ain't great.
She kind of takes up Brandon's mantle this week of not necessarily yelling at people, but chastising them. Like, if you're going to act weird around him, just don't even bother. Whoa, girl, can I react first?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, don't feed me my reaction. Let me have one.
She's a problematic woke Karen.
Yeah, she's something.
Yeah.
Although I did enjoy the Kelly and Donna hug to Brenda before she was going to go take her driver's test, because it was exactly the same hug they gave her in Palm Springs when she was going to go have sex with Dylan for the first time. Like, they're equally excited for both milestones.
Both things deserve a hug beforehand. I don't think I got a hug before my first time, so it was fine. But now I'm like, a hug before would have been great.
At least you didn't have to do it 3 times before you got your license.
Oh my God. Yeah, wow. What a weird thing to have sex before you learn how to drive. Like, I know that's happened for many people.
Yeah.
But like, I'm glad I learned how to operate machinery before I learned how to handle humans.
I mean, I'm not going to say hands at 10 and 2 is important, but, you know. I'm just saying.
Nothing about driving prepared me for sex. I didn't have a manual.
I'm not sure I had any expectation that it would. So it never occurred to me until right now to think maybe that was something I should have been thinking about. I don't know. All right. So I think we did it?
Yes, we did.
All right. So this does not apply for next week, but for the few episodes after next week,
oh God,
I would like you to not check out a synopsis beforehand.
I've stopped reading them.
Okay, good, because we're getting to a point where there's some stuff. Next week we're not quite into some stuff, but we're inching closer to stuff.
Oh my God.
So, and I want as clean a reaction to stuff as is humanly possible.
Scott brings it
So let's just wait till there's some stuff to watch.
Woo!
But next week we're going to be talking about season 2, episode 12, Down and Out of District. Open paren, close paren, in Beverly Hills. So
Andrea.
Yeah, we're finally going to get a little bit of a payoff to Andrea living out of District.
I don't want her to get in trouble.
Well, I guess we're going to see what happens.
So,
yep. All right. So until then, Cheesemeisters.
Bye.
Bye.